Fate, freedom, and divine justice. The Quran's philosophical dilemma on free will. What if the very foundation of your moral responsibility was an illusion? What if the sacred text that guides your beliefs about heaven, hell, justice, and reward held within it a contradiction so deep it made moral judgment impossible? This isn't a critique from outside religion. It's a tension found within the heart of Islamic scripture, a clash between two irreconcilable views: that humans are free and that everything is already determined by God. Today, we explore this paradox not as an attack on faith, but as a philosophical inquiry into the core of religious morality, divine justice, and the possibility of human agency in a world ruled by an omnipotent creator.
1. Why this question matters.
Before diving into verses and theology, we must ask, why does this issue matter? Because every religion, especially those that include reward and punishment, relies on the idea that you are free to choose. You are responsible for those choices and you will be judged accordingly. But if you were never truly free, then reward is meaningless. Punishment is unjust. And divine justice becomes morally incoherent. So this isn't just an abstract debate. It's about the very logic behind salvation and damnation.
2. The Quranic voice of free will.
Let's begin with the verses that promote human freedom, the backbone of moral responsibility in Islamic ethics.
Surah Al-Kahf, 1829. The truth is from your Lord. Let him who wills believe, and let him who wills disbelieve. Surah Al-Insan 76, 3. We have shown him the way, whether he be grateful or ungrateful.
These verses emphasize autonomy. Belief is a choice. Agency. The individual chooses their path. Responsibility. Consequences follow from choices. This framework allows for reward in paradise and punishment in hell to be seen as just. It also gives religious morality its force. Choose the right path or face the results. But this is only half the picture.
3. The Quranic voice of determinism.
In sharp contrast, other verses assert that human will is ultimately powerless without God's will.
Surah At-Takwir 81:29. You cannot will unless Allah, the Lord of the worlds, wills. Surah Al-Insan 76:30. You do not will unless Allah wills. Surah Al-Anfal 8:17. It was not you who killed them, but Allah who killed them.
These verses suggest human actions are not truly independent. God is the ultimate agent behind every act, belief, or disbelief. This creates a radically different picture. Your will exists, but only as a subset of God's will. This leads us to a logical fork. If God wills who believes and who disbelieves, then belief is not a choice, it is assigned.
4. The logical and moral dilemma.
Let's state the contradiction clearly. If God is all-powerful, all-knowing, and pre-writes human destiny, and if God holds people accountable for what they do, then human beings are being judged for things they were never free to choose. This leads to two fatal problems. Logical incoherence. You can't say someone is free and also say every act of theirs was written by someone else. That's like giving a robot instructions, then punishing it for following them. Moral absurdity. If God made someone disbelieve, then sent them to hell for disbelief, what kind of justice is that? The contradiction is not between religion and science. It's between two voices inside the same scripture.
5. Early Islamic theological debates, Qadariyya versus Jabriyya.
Islamic history reveals this issue has always been controversial. Qadariyya, free will, argued humans have complete choice, claimed that God, being just, would never punish someone for actions they didn't choose. They saw free will as necessary for moral responsibility. Jabriyya, determinism, believed everything happens by God's decree. Human will is an illusion, and we act by divine force. They emphasized God's absolute sovereignty, even if it contradicted our sense of justice. Later theologians, like the Ash'arites, attempted a compromise. God creates the act, humans acquire it. But this theory, called kasb, acquisition, is notoriously vague and widely criticized as logically incoherent.
6. Modern critiques, atheists, philosophers, and neuroscience.
Neuroscience. Studies, like those by Benjamin Libet, suggest brain activity precedes conscious decision-making. Your body begins to decide before you're aware of it. If this is true, free will might not exist at all, regardless of theology. Sam Harris, neuroscientist and philosopher, claims free will is an illusion. In a universe where you didn't choose your genes, culture, parents, or experiences, how can you be held accountable? Richard Dawkins argues the concept of hell is unjust if people were created already doomed. Their critique is clear. Without freedom, moral judgment collapses.
7. Attempts at resolution. Can God's will and human will coexist?
Some theologians argue, God knows what we will do but does not force it. But this raises further questions. If God knows the future with certainty, can it be changed? If it cannot be changed, then is it truly open for us to choose? The idea of foreknowledge without predetermination sounds comforting, but philosophically, it's murky. It's the equivalent of saying, the road is fixed, but you can choose where to walk. Yet the only road that exists is the one you're told you will walk.
8. Scripture or projection, a human struggle reflected in a divine text.
Some scholars and critics suggest that this contradiction reflects a human problem, not a divine one. Humans feel free, but often see life unfold in ways that seem fated. Perhaps the Quran captures this tension because it was written by people wrestling with both ideas. Not a flaw of the text, but a mirror of human confusion. If so, it raises an unsettling possibility. The Quran isn't a unified divine revelation. It's a composite of conflicting ideas held together by tradition, not logic.
9. Final thought, truth, responsibility, and the cost of certainty.
What are we left with? If the Quran grants free will, then God's power has limits. If God controls everything, then human moral responsibility vanishes. Most believers live with this tension, often ignoring it. But for philosophers, theologians, and honest seekers, it's a question that cannot be dismissed. For a justice system to be just, choice must be real. If the choice is not real, neither is the justice. This is not an argument to reject faith, but a challenge to take truth more seriously than comfort.
Closing message.
In the end, we may never fully resolve the mystery of free will and fate. But the question itself, this deep conflict, should not be silenced. It must be examined, lived with, and understood, not because we reject religion, but because we respect it enough to question it. Until next time, think freely. Speak honestly. And never settle for answers that fear your questions. Like, subscribe, and follow Positive Vortex for more hidden truths.